Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare Podcast. This show is sponsored by Kids Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals, as well as REM, Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, of course, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 310. As the team leader of the Kate Broddick Team, she has established a nationally renowned reputation as a top seller through innovation, consistent service, and genuine desire to grow the influence of her team in a competitive marketplace. A savvy businesswoman with an intelligent mindset and a trend-setting approach to property promotion, she has also received the designation as #1 Realtor in Brantford and has recently expanded into Norfolk County with her second team office. Her podcast, In the Vault with Kate Broddick, has a growing audience of fellow realtors and business people tuning in for business leadership, goal-oriented strategies, and inspirational messages from her and her guests. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare Podcast is Realtor Kate Broddick. Kate,
Hi.
welcome to the MindShare Podcast.
Thanks for having me and the wonderful intro. I was like,
You know
wow.
what? I do have to make an edit right now and say that the podcast, everybody, is actually called In the Vault with the Kate Broddick Team. I left out the team part. I'm sorry. I just
That's
want to make sure everybody
okay.
finds it.
That's okay. I didn't even catch it. I was like, this is great.
Oh, I caught it immediately, and I was like, oh, man.
I'm the host, so you know what? It's not far off. So no, that's amazing. I'm excited to be here.
You know what? It's a pleasure having you. It's funny. A buddy of mine who actually lives out in Brantford texted me like the minute he saw the post go up yesterday. He's like, "Wait, she's from Brantford." I'm like, "Yes, she is." So you're doing something right out there. We call that building some positive mind share.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for
It's
you.
and actually I've been here. I'm not from here, but I've been here for it'll be 15 years.
Nice.
And it's really grown on me because obviously building a family with children, you start to build more of a community, you know that, right? So you
Yep.
start to really get into like the roots of the community when you start having kids, right? So I feel like I'm from here.
You know what? I got to tell you, there has been so many times that I think it happens almost daily. We're like, we're gonna move. All right, where are we gonna move to? I'm like, we can't move. We've got kids.
I know.
And like you see, and I know listen, I know so many people out there like make the move and it's good. And they're like, oh, they'll adapt, they'll be fine. And I know they will, but it's
Yeah.
like, I just, it like so pulls on my heartstrings when I think, okay, we're going to change your schools. We're going to change your friends. We're going to change your sports teams. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it.
It's overwhelming.
It's
Yeah.
crazy what kids do to you, eh? In the most amazing way.
In the most
In
amazing
the
way.
most amazing way for sure. Right. So look, it's awesome having you here. And for everybody, again, we are on with Kate Broddick right now. And we're going to be talking about how you became Brantford's #1 realtor. And I think that that's actually very cool because only being there for the past 15 years, which really is a long period of time in some degree. But if you
Yeah.
look at like the big span of life, I got to imagine there are people out there that have been living there their entire lives. And
Yeah.
well, they still probably don't have that same claim to fame. So good for you on that. Like, I know you're doing some kick-ass stuff out there. I know some of the crews that you run with are some fantastic people. At the end of the day, no matter our networks, it really does come down to what we internally want and the efforts we're going to put in to achieve. And you've obviously been doing some fantastic stuff. So big congratulations. But I do have to ask, like, if we start right off the top, and I don't know if when you moved to Brantford you were in real estate or not, but what initially motivated you to actually pursue a career in real estate? And then how did you really establish yourself in the industry? Because again, like, we've met each other in passing, we've got some similar circles, but it's like, as you hear names that continue to kind of come up, you go, and again, I call it building mindshare, but you're doing some wicked stuff out there.
I'm gonna take my glasses off because my ring light glares in the
Oh my
minutes.
God, I'm the same way, right? You see the blue light? I'm like, I hate it.
I won't be able to see, but that's
I
okay.
know.
You know what? It's not something that I woke up and said I automatically want to be a real estate agent. That certainly wasn't the case. It
Right.
was a matter of, and I've told this story so many times, and I
I'm
don't
so-
the impact that it has. But I was in healthcare. I went to school to be a dental hygienist. I made a great living. I was working with the public and families, and I had great hours, evenings and weekends off. I actually had almost a 4-day work week because I worked 12 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a half day on Thursdays. And then I was off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, I mean, I made great money, and I really didn't have a desire to leave that profession. I think what ended up happening is we bought our first house, and we felt that the relationship with the realtor could have been a little bit heightened. We could have had a better experience. We could have had a little bit more customer service, more follow-up. And it was really intriguing to me, the whole buying and selling process. And I decided on a whim to get licensed and thought, you know what, maybe I can like kind of dabble in this. And, as a hobby, as a lot of people say, and now looking back on that, I'm like, that's crazy. But at the time, that was really how I started. And when I got my license, I started to really think about what I wanted to do and how I could create a business out of this real estate gig or hobby, and how I could stand out. And I think over time, over the first few months, it became this project of mine to build this business. It was like I had this dream, this ambition that came across me. And within 6 months, I actually ended up giving up my dental hygiene career because I was that busy.
Wow.
It was everything from the business planning to the follow-up to the marketing and social media, which, 13 years ago this coming March, you didn't see as much of that. That's been something like as a new trend, I'd say really in the last probably 5 to 7 years.
For sure.
And I really was able to get out this creativity that I had, and I had this business sense that came very natural to me. And I was at a crossroads, and I had to make a decision because I'm an all in kind of person. I'm either all in or I'm not. And I went all in. And year 3, I became the #1 realtor in Brantford, having just moved there, and both in transactions and volume.
Wow. Okay. So 13 years in the business.
Yeah, this March will be 13 years. Yeah.
Wicked. Awesome. Very big congratulations.
Thank you.
13 years in the biz, 3 years in, you get to the sort of the #1 status out there.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things I heard was like you had a 4-day work week with no evenings and weekends, and somehow you were compelled to go and get rid of all of that. Like everything okay over there?
Looking back now, it's a little bit like eye-opening to be like, there was a lot of freedoms involved in that, and it's not like I didn't make good money. I mean, I was making, I think, $90,000 at the time, which is great.
Yeah.
As an income.
It is.
15 years ago.
Yep.
And I think the difference is that it ignited a passion that I actually didn't even realize that I had. And I think that was entrepreneurship.
So cool.
And it's not necessarily the selling real estate, which I love. It was the people, it was the business planning, it was the execution, it was the marketing, it was the community events. It's such an encompassing business that you can really make what you want to make from it. And you can really take it to a level that you want, and you can really build a community and a culture and all of these things. And it just I think was more tailored to who I am as a person than the regular, get up, go to work, then come home. And there's not as necessarily as much flexibility as people think there is when you're running your own business. But once you get to a level, I think past that 10-year mark, that flexibility does start to come in. And I'm seeing that now. Right.
You know what? It first, there's that growth stage. There's that, what do I have to implement that I didn't know? What do I have to be doing? And then there's that, finding the groove, and we all know it. Any of us that are business owners, it's 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, no matter how you slice it, it just is. Mm-hmm. You do need to find, though, how can you get out there and carve out the time that you want for the things that you want to do, whether it's vacations, whether it's time with the family, whether it's, in my world, it's very, very consumed with like my son's sports, and then based on the amount of time I spent with him at sports, it's like, how much time can I carve out for my daughter just to hang out with her and like just be there as her dad and my, little girl. And
Yeah.
it is crazy, right? And it's wild how you come out of having such structure of a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so many people get into this business looking for freedom and flexibility and thinking they're gonna make a ton of money. And then they realize, like you said, it's actually, you're running a business.
Yeah.
But what would you say is like, sort of getting to that number one spot? What was the big game changer for you on that? Like what really caused that?
I think it would be a couple of things. If you, I'm really big into personality profiling. I actually learned it in my dental hygiene career because we used to do the DISC course or refresher every year, which sounds crazy. But when you're working in an environment where people don't generally get up and be like, God, I can't wait to get to that dentist, right? God, I can't wait for that. Like you're working with people and they have anxieties about the dental office, and you have to be able to cater to them, listen, and educate based on how they receive information. And so the DISC profiling was really big in my previous lifetime in dental hygiene. And on a DISC profile, I am not your typical realtor. Typical realtors are generally very high I. They're of influence. They're very social. They're the ones who are out there shaking hands and kissing babies. I am the furthest thing from that. I am not incredibly extroverted. I'm actually quite introverted, but I'm really good at one-on-one.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. And that's, the relationships are very genuine because generally people who perform really well in a one-on-one situation, they're very attentive. They listen, they ask the right questions. Oftentimes they'll do less talking and more listening, and it makes people feel really comfortable. And so what I was high on was systems. I'm a systems person. If you give me a list of tasks to do, I will outtask everybody. I am very multitasking. I have a great memory. I'm very good at follow-up, and I'm really good at putting those systems in place, like lead generation, follow-up, marketing schedules, just any systems in general that you would have in a real estate environment. And I think that because I was so strong in that it made the business side so easy, which is what I have seen and experienced. That's where realtors fail.
Okay, hold on. Let's differentiate right there, because I just heard something that I wanted to pick at. It made the business that much easier. And I'm going to take what I believe, and it's not right or wrong, but from what you just said around systems and the scheduling, the tasks and the things that need to get done, that's the stuff, to me, that's the business. That's the part that most people don't get. They just can't get it. They feel like, hey, I can go out there, I can help the person find a property, I can talk to people, I shake hands and kiss babies. I'm just going to go do my thing and I'm going to be successful. And my view is always, if you can't get the business side, the systems, the structure, that stuff in check, you may find some success on this side of the sales world. You're not going to have longevity out of it.
That's right. That's right. And repeat clients and people who genuinely feel like they're in the hands of someone who has a well-oiled machine that's going to take you not just to go buy a house, but to facilitate life change with them, right? That's what we're doing. We're legitimately helping people walk through different life stages, whether it's family, whether it's their first home, whether it's upgrading, whether it's downsizing, selling your parents' home, they're going into a nursing home or a retirement community. It's really big life stages for people. And if we look at it just as buying and selling houses, I feel like we might as well just go buy or sell appliances at like the brick. These are people's lives, right? Yeah. And that's really, I think I had such a systematic approach to the business aspect of real estate that the other part of it may not be hard for others, which would be putting yourself out there. That was always my biggest challenge. But because it was a very intimate relationship with people, because it was one-on-one, right? When you go to a listing meeting, you're not there with a whole crowd of people. Right. When you're going into an open house, you might have people come and go, but you have opportunity to step aside and talk to people one-on-one. And that's where I really shined. And my follow-up was exceptional. And I think the reason why it took off so much is I didn't miss a beat in the business side. And then I just learned people's side.
You know what? But it's so, like, again, it's so true. And we're going to come back to follow up in a moment in some of these strategies. But as we look at finding people, because that's always the start of it all, right? Especially when you're first starting your career, or even today, 13 years later, or however many years later anybody's in the business.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of your more successful lead generation strategies? And I to me, the bright shiny object in real estate has been this word lead generation for so many,
Yeah.
3, 4, 7, something like that, 4 to 7 years probably we've been talking
Yeah.
about this lead generation. But I don't isolate lead generation simply to paying for ads online. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different angles that you could take on it. So how do you make sure your pipeline stays full?
Well, when I was first licensed, I had just moved to the area, so I was new.
See? Okay.
I didn't know anybody. We literally moved to Brantford, and I know one person, which was my broker of record. That was it. I didn't know people, and I don't like to call it lead generation. It's just the easiest term to use because it's thrown out there so much. It's relationship building, and
Yes, Kate. We could end the show right now, and you just made me the happiest guy ever. I can't stand this thing about lead gen. I
yeah.
shouldn't even use that, but
Well,
I use it.
we don't pay for ads on. We're not the per click team. We're not the, we're not looking to cipher through hundreds and hundreds of people who have fake email addresses and phone numbers. We're out there to build relationships. And the easiest way for me to do that in a city I didn't know was I did open houses every single weekend.
Nice.
It allowed me
Hold on, the in-person real deal, actually meeting people.
That's what, I mean, I didn't have kids at the time, so I didn't know parents. I wasn't involved in community or kids sports or events. I didn't know anybody here, so it's not like I had relationships to fall back on. You never trust, sorry, that's the wrong word. You never put your faith into your family and friends when you're becoming a new realtor, because they will not use you.
Okay. All right.
You had to find people. You had to find your people. And where else would you do that if you're not in organized sports? You don't have children. You don't really have events, right? You have to put yourself out there. And open houses for me were such a brilliant 2 hours on Sunday for me to at least get in front of people who at the very least were interested in real estate, whether it's a nosy neighbor, whether it's someone who's maybe looking to buy, maybe it's someone on a Sunday drive. It didn't matter to me. It was a relationship that I could at least pull from and hope at one point, whether it could be a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, at least I could then have someone that was at least interested in real estate.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And
I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, it was honestly just boots on the ground running. I wish I had some secret sauce. The business part of my career has always been that, because I'm just such a systematic person. Quick story, just to give anyone who doesn't do open houses, to me, is completely out of their minds in this business. The best story I have, and this is true. I did an open house on a property that was in Mayfair, and I met this lovely couple. They gave me their name, they gave me their email. They told me, sure, follow up with some listings, not a problem. For 3 years, I never heard back from them. For 3 years, every single month, I sent them a newsletter in a personal email and either a text message, or I tried to phone call, leave a voicemail for 3 years. 3 years later, I'm at an open house, and this same couple walks through the door. And they said, we saw that you were hosting an open house on your Facebook. We wanted to come in and say, we know we haven't answered you, but your follow-up was so impeccable. And it was information that I was providing. It wasn't just like, hey, it's a nice day outside. What are you up to today? It was like I was providing information on market updates about places in the area, about homes that they might like. And she said, your follow-up was so impeccable that we wanted to come here in person and ask you to come do a home evaluation at our home. I ended up selling their home, buying their home, and I've got so many referrals from them because they saw over the course of 3 years that even though they didn't answer, I didn't give up.
My cheeks are hurting from smiling on this one right now, and I know that sounds silly. We're just talking about open houses, but like seriously speaking, it is a wicked breath of fresh air. And I will say that oftentimes, like I had another guest on last week or 2 weeks ago, and he's killing it in his area. And again, to him, open houses. He talked a lot about the door knocking and the farming. And these are all these things that when you scour the threads and people speaking about what they want to do and what they don't want to do, everybody's chasing these like quote unquote leads and doing the thing like you said before about random emails or calling random people who have no idea even how you got their information. Like, why are we chasing these folks when you could have real conversations with real people? At an open house, at a door knock. you
Yeah.
know, real opportunities. It's so when you do this stuff, okay, so we talk about like finding new people.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones is getting together with people. Would you say that that's the same path? Because we know listings are a little bit lower right now. Conversions can be a little bit more difficult. But when it comes to finding those listings as well, would it be the same ideas? Like just keep talking to the people that you know?
I am heavily referral based now.
Okay. Yeah.
When you're starting out, obviously not necessarily, but
Sure.
one of the things I always did is I was never afraid to ask my clients for the referrals.
Good
So
for you.
every time I completed a transaction, I had no problems, letting them know, I'm obviously looking for new business. If you have any people that you know that may be looking to buy or sell, and that has always been my greatest voice, is a great customer experience. And I think if you treat your clients really well, whether it be like we send honestly like monetary gift cards to our clients a couple times a year just to say, hey, thanks for your loyal commitment to us. If you ever need anything, we're always here. We do porch drops for kids or people with kids. So we'll do like sidewalk chalk and frisbees that are branded, and we drop them off at our clients' homes. We do community events that are free. And asking not just our clients, but also the community to come on out and say hi. Like we just had our jump and jingle last Saturday. We had hundreds of people through the door.
What jump and jiggle? Just quick, like just briefly. What?
Oh, we had bouncy castles.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
We had Santa there,
Cool.
and it was a free community event. And I mean, that's the
Where do you
thing.
do that in a park?
No, we actually rented a hall,
Okay.
Woodman Park Community Center in Brantford. And what an amazing turnout. But if you notice what I'm saying, this is all one-on-one,
Yep.
in-person interaction, or thank yous to the people who you've serviced, who have put their trust in you. And I think when it boils down to it, in today's day and age, everybody wants your position, but nobody wants to do the work.
Oh,
They
bang on.
sitting behind the computer. They rely on content creation. This is relationships. You are buying and selling people's largest assets. You're intermingled with their relationships and their family. You're going through good times, hard times, exciting times, sad times, and you have to be trusted and present with them. And that requires you to have a very strong relationship with the people that you hire or that hire you and want to refer you their family and friends.
And for everybody that might have just tuned in, we're talking with Kate Broddick and about how she became Brantford's #1 realtor. With everything that you're talking about here, it's. I mean, you could talk about Ontario or Canada's #1 realtor. Like you're saying all the right things, which is amazing. And it's a lot of stuff that we echo on this show. I echo from the stage. I talk with my coaching clients about. I mean, to everybody that tunes into the show regularly, like here it is again. You got another top producing individual in this industry who is giving you the straight goods about what it truly takes to win in this business. And I'll tell you, Kate, like I'm talking to so many brokers, managers of offices, owners of offices. We do a lot of consulting for offices. And oftentimes now agents, when they're deciding like which office am I going to, it's like, hey, how many leads are you going to give me? And I'm thinking, this is the biggest question you get. And I tell them, like, if you're getting somebody who's going to weigh their options, whether to work, like to come to your office or go to another office based on the leads you get, tell them to go to the other office. Just go, because you're never going to win that game, because somebody's always going to say, hey, I'll give you more, even though we know most of those leads are bullshit.
Oh my God, their names are circle turkey and they have a wrong number. Like,
yeah. Like
yeah.
it's So look, are you when we talk about, you said follow-up and repeat referral business and how it's such a major part of the world for your world. And I know that I'd say 79% of a realtor's income is typically going to come from that.
Yeah.
When it comes to follow-ups,
Yes.
it comes to relationship building.
Yes.
Most people know that they should be doing it, but for some reason completely procrastinate in doing it consistently. Are you a scheduler?
Yes.
And do you have any tips to somebody who's like, I know I need to be doing that, but like, I'm not doing it. And I don't know why I'm not doing it. I'm like, you don't want to make the money. And they're like, yeah, I want to make the money. I'm like, do the work. What would you say?
That's a mindset. You can't teach discipline. This is a disciplined business. If you want to succeed in this, to say, oh God, I know I should be doing it, that's a character flaw. And you need to work on that. And you need to figure out what creative ways can you bring to the table to make that task more appealing to you. So for someone like myself who enjoys systems and you give me a list of things to do, I'm not going to be like, oh God, I don't want to do that. you have to figure out a way to be creative with those tasks in order to complete them. And you have to pick a time in the day where you have your most energy. And I coach this with my team. I am not going to sit down and task at 7 o'clock at night because I am at my least energy levels then.
Sure.
I'm going to do everything that I find to be, I would say, least enjoyable or very focused when I have the most energy, which would be in the morning. And so you really need to be accountable to yourself and be able to look at yourself with a critical eye. And you need to, when you promise yourself something and you tell yourself you're going to do something, you need to follow through. And you need to figure that out. That is an inherent character flaw that I see in realtors all the time. It's better to start off small and show yourself that you're able to do it on a small scale basis repetitively over a period of time than it is when I see agents say, I'm going to go knock on 200 doors and I'm going to do 6 open houses this week, this month, and I'm going to make 40 phone calls. I'm like, but you're not, because you're starting at ground zero. Why not door knock 10 homes this week and do 1 open house this month and make 2 phone calls a day and show yourself that level of consistency and show yourself that you're keeping that promise and discipline with what you're looking to do, and then start to expand and start to, build out your business. Show yourself that you're going to do it first, because you're setting yourself up to fail. That's how I look at it.
I couldn't agree more. And you know what? A perfect opportunity right now, as you and I, before we got on here, we're talking about planning for the new year and all the stuff that's going on and how December is going to fly because of vacays or whatever. To everybody that's tuned in right now. And again, if you're a regular listener, you know this stuff, coach a client, you know this stuff, but for everybody, take those big goals you've got and chunk those down into small incremental bite-sized pieces, right? So if I say I'm going to do, 365 calls this year, let's do the math. It's 1 call a day. It ain't that hard. So don't give me excuses why you can't do it.
That's
right. Don't give yourself excuses why you can't do it.
Exactly. And also factor in you're a human being also. You're a mother, a father, a friend, a colleague, someone's, child, or you have children, you have parents. Don't take away the time that you also need to enjoy to have that balanced fulfillment, both in personal and professional, because there's only so many hours in a day. You have kids. I've got 3 boys. I know that I only have so much time to get certain things done. So I don't overplan my schedule. So then that way I feel like I'm taking into other time that's more important to me, which is my personal life, than the business. So you have to really take it like a bird's eye view and say, what do I want? What are my personal goals? What are my professional goals? What am I capable of doing? And if you find you're capable of doing more, then expand, but prove to yourself that you can do it first.
Love that. Great. You know what? Just solid foundational words for anybody to take their business to their next level. And it's so simple, it's crazy. So here we talked about open house. We talked about a little bit of door knock. You're a phone caller, I imagine.
Actually, I love it once I do it, but so this is my next piece of advice: is get a coach where you need it. I did not need a coach for the systems portion because it came naturally to me.
Yeah.
I needed a coach to help me figure out how I was going to implement the things that actually gave me fear. That it drains me to get on the phone and talk all day to people. Some people, very extroverted people, they gain energy from that. They love that shaking hands, kissing babies, that actually fuels them. It can be draining for me. It's not that I don't love it. I love the one-on-one conversations, but I'm not a huge phone person. I don't like to talk for hours on end. So the cold calling or the follow-up calls or, even just touching base, I recognized how important it was to be voice to voice over texting. And I will stand by that 100%. But I needed a coach to focus in on an area where I know I needed improvement. And I think that people aren't investing enough in themselves at the beginning as new agents on the systems and business structure part. And I think that that's where coaches can really come in and kind of give the lay of the land, because when you get licensed, there is literally zero direction. Your brokerage might give you something, but I would not tell you that they're business planning with you. I've never heard of this. I've never experienced this. And so I think investing in yourself before you start investing in websites, which nobody knows about, nobody cares because you're a new agent with 0 clients, or investing in like pays per clicks where I'm going to out budget you every single time because I've been doing it for so long and Google's just going to take your money and eat it. Invest in yourself, invest in a coach, and find your areas of weakness and start working on those and start building out a business platform that you can actually run with.
So I imagine you obviously what you did was invest in somebody that could help you with some of that one-on-one, some of that voice. Because I'm so with you. Like I spend my days talking with people all day long. And like as part of what we do as a service, we are on the line with coaching clients.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time and we put a lot of effort into that. And we thoroughly like love doing that and watching the successes of our clients. Now it gets to like a friend who wants to sit there and just schmooze for a few minutes. You're like, oh man, I'm just exhausted. Like I don't want to be on the phone right now. Or you start getting like, or you have to start getting into your sales calls. And again, it can be daunting. It can be exhausting. It could be one of those days where you're going like, I just ain't feeling it. Right.
Yeah.
But there are some necessities to that. So beyond even just the phone call, what would you say are like when it comes to marketing, what would be your most effective channels if you had to just like label them off?
Oh,
like,
goodness.
1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing.
I'll go through the evolution here. So when I was first licensed, I mean, I had no marketing dollars. I had
totally normal.
Zero, right? I mean, I hadn't done any sales. I used to do door knockers in farming. So I essentially farmed West Brant, and it was a small area. It was where I lived. I got to know the area really well in terms of the development, the schools, things like that. So I was able to speak really well on it rather than trying to learn an entire city that I didn't know about.
But great approach.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, farming, everyone knows that it works, but people feel like they're missing out and they try to pepper the whole city with stuff and focus on a small area. And I did that. And I did door knockers. So I was too afraid. As I said, one of my things that I had to work on was that I had going into people's space versus being invited into their space was hard for me. So I would do door knockers and didn't have the money for Canada Post. So I would pick streets and I would pound the pavement. That turned into
you
flyers.
Yourself, running shoes on, let's go.
You better believe it. Good knapsack on my back.
Yep,
and I was hitting the road. I mean, I had to do something and I had all the time in the world. Turned into flyers. So then I was able to flyer areas and I did it on a very consistent basis because the rule of thumb is someone needs to see your name 7 times before it starts to click. Then I started doing open houses when my office had listings in that area. And so now it's like open houses, door knockers, flyers, social media, starting to go in front of houses. I remember 10 years ago, standing out in front of a house when nobody was doing this, say, hey, if you're looking to buy a house in $300,000 range, this is the neighborhood. And I would literally showcase homes. They weren't my listings, but I would do it because I needed business.
And you did that through social?
Did that through shows.
And
I was
video?
On Facebook, video. Oh God. Okay. I mean, I was in my videos before that was ever even a thing, and they were terrible. They're on.
Okay, YouTube. So hold on. Talk to me. Sorry, I'm I'm just grabbing at things right now. I love this with the social and the video aspect of it.
Yeah.
We see a lot of random stuff out there. Like I remember even doing a training one day and I'm like, listen, don't be that dancing realtor. And this one girl pops up and she's like, oh, that's all I do. And I'm like, oh, whoops, I totally.
Sorry.
And like I checked out her Instagram feed one day and like, she's a great dancer, like, but I was in my head, I'm thinking, where's the correlation to like helping somebody buy and sell real estate? Now, all that aside, we have seen all sorts of different stuff that people put out there.
Yeah.
From a content perspective, from a getting out there and connecting with people, even video, you just mentioned one, which was you were showcasing homes or properties that weren't even necessarily yours, but they were in your community.
Yeah.
So now it was like, hey, I know what's going on out here.
That's right. And you're checking out the inventory at the same time.
Would you say that's some of the best content that people can put out there that resonates with others? And is there anything else you'd suggest from a content perspective?
I think, okay, this is completely my own personal perspective.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I think that when you are showcasing knowledge, education, and promotion of people's properties, you need to put a very professional spin on it because you are showing that business side of you. That doesn't mean you can't have personality in your videos. I mean, social media is really great. Platforms are really great that you can showcase, hey, this is the business side of me. And then you can also showcase a little bit of your personality. Maybe, you're really witty, or you've got like a great sense of humor. Maybe you've got like a sarcastic side, or maybe you've got like a crazy hobby that you want to show or share a family. You can be a bit silly. But I really do believe that when you're content creating for your actual profession and you're representing the interests of others in their homes or someone else's listing, you really do need to come at that with the utmost professionalism, because I know that you have an audience that, you got to try to cater to the masses, and you also have to cater to the property to which someone hired you to sell, right? And you don't want things to be taken the wrong way. That's my own perspective.
I don't disagree with it though, and there's total logic to what you just said.
Yeah. And that's for me personally. I mean, but then again, I jumped in a pool this summer. I literally, in April, the pool was opened. It was 6 degrees and I went full tilt and jumped in the pool. And you know what? It was a hit. But I'm also not here just to get likes and views. I'm here to sell a house.
Yeah.
I'm not here to get, likes and comments from random people that have no interest in buying a home and no interest in me, just to say, oh, look, this post got 3,000 likes. Yeah, but how many people came through the house? How much did the house sell for? How much did you market it? So that's my own take on it. Some people are doing some great things and they're super funny and they're catching fire and going viral, but the houses aren't selling.
Yeah, totally. What's your favorite platforms that you use for social?
I am a big Instagram person, always
Yeah.
have been. I started out with Facebook. You'll catch me on Instagram far more. We have that, that Hootsuite that you post on one, it goes on everything. So it may appear that I'm always on the platforms, but I'm not.
It's Insta.
I just like Instagram. That's the thing.
No, I'm with you. I'm totally there too. I mean, I've got Facebook, I got TikTok, but I'd say Instagram's my jam. Like that's where I spend my time.
Yeah, that's what I feel too.
So, but we've talked, okay, again, door knocking, open houses. We've now brought up social and video. We've talked about the flyering. We've touched on phone calls. We discussed the lead generation thing. And I think a lot of it's coming right back to, from what I'm hearing from you so far, is it's really that one-to-one connection that's made with somebody, and then just leveraging those different channels to keep that awareness there.
I look at real estate as departments. If you are going to give full circle service to your clients, you need to have separate departments. And in each department, you need to have systems that you follow, say 1 through 10, whatever it is, in order to have a very abundant business and in order to keep yourself in order and to provide exceptional customer service. But at the end of the day, it always comes back to the relationship. But in order for the relationship to continue on and for you to get repeat and referral, you need to be able to have all those systems checked. And I do believe that that's where realtors really need to dive into.
Okay, so let's actually dive into that a little deeper together then. If I said to you, we've really, and you've done a great job of saying, it's about them. It's about the professionalism. It is about the systems. You've mentioned the word follow-up several times, and I love it. How do you ensure a sort of memorable experience? And I bring this up because a lot of the times, especially app builders, website developers, even retail stores, you go see a sporting event. It's all about the experience.
Yeah.
Right? A restaurant that you go to, a hotel that you go to. And the experience is what really brings people back, or they never want to come back. Right. So how do you ensure a memorable experience for your clients from sort of that first meeting to closing? Does it, if I even summarize, does it just come back to those systems you're talking about?
It's systematic.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Mean, if I'm meeting with a seller and we have a great listing meeting and I have a very professional package that I'm bringing with them that's tailored to their home, it then ends with, when I leave the house, I always send them flowers. If it's a man or a woman, I send them flowers or like a fruit gift basket, thanking them for inviting me. That goes, literally, they receive it that day or the next.
So you went in for what? Like a listing presentation, or even just like maybe they're buyers?
I don't even know if I have the listing. They instantly, those flowers, because I already know about the clients, those flowers or that fruit basket is already ordered, and it's either being, depending on the time of the day, it's either getting to their house that afternoon, evening, or the next morning to leave a lasting impression. I always follow up with an email. And then I always, before I leave the listing meeting, I always tell them or converse with them, I'm going to give you a call on Thursday and follow up with you to make sure that there's no questions that were left unanswered. And by then they would have received that small token of appreciation. And then if we are hired, we do have that feel good moments of making sure that I have 4 amazing staff, customer care and concierge Victoria, who is always making sure that it's white glove service. There's never any time lapse between clients asking questions and us getting the answers. We have an amazing analytics and inside sales agent, Jen, who's touching base with our listings to make sure that they're seeing where we're putting the properties, the impressions, the views, keeping them up to date with what's happening. And then, of course, me and my licensed assistant, Steph, we are always together making sure that the process, even if nothing is happening, that they understand what's happening and behind the scenes with 2-week emails, one month emails, whatever. And we've had to see that 6-week emails, 2-month emails, right?
Seriously, I was just going to ask you, like, how do you manage all these expectations? Because I mean, white glove service, and you got the team there.
Yeah.
You've got all these things that are going on. You obviously tell them what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
How do you manage those expectations with the clients, especially as things are moving so quickly on a
I
regular?
think they just want communication. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, we try our best to never have the client call us first before we call them to give them an update. And we're seeing right now homes sit on the market for months. They don't want to not hear from the realtor for 6-8 weeks. They want the realtor to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, here, I just sent you an email. Here are all the solds in the last, 120 days. Obviously there's been few, there's 56% less sales happening in our market right now. Why don't we re-strategize? Why don't we look at the actives? Maybe there's an abundance of inventory in the area. Maybe we need to tweak our price. Maybe we need to tweak our marketing, but we need to come to them with solutions to the problem before they actually start addressing the problem with us. And I think that that's the white glove service, is knowing that the realtor isn't just sitting hoping to God that the house sells in a market where sales are fewer and far between. And I think that coming at it with a solution-based conversation versus like, well, I don't know, the market's just really bad right now and nothing's selling. Well, that doesn't help their case, right? It's they're looking to you to guide them. And even if you offer your own solutions 1, 2, 3 times, and they're still saying, well, we're not ready to price reduce, or we want to wait a little bit longer. You're still reaching out to them and letting them know, hey, I'm here to guide you, and I'm here to talk to you about what's going on in the market. And I want to make sure that there's no questions left unanswered, or that you have no feelings about what's happening that's not being addressed, and always be on the same page.
Would you say that that's the biggest comment, like that's the most common mistake most realtors are making, especially in the market right now, where like the house isn't selling? Everybody thinks that they're going to get COVID prices still, and it's not happening. I don't know what to do. Like, just lack of communication.
Yeah. And I think people naturally turtle to confrontational conversations. People don't like to have hard conversations. And I get it. They're uncomfortable, but that's where the growth happens. That's where the connection happens. That's where the trust happens between you and the client. There is a reason why I have homes that have sat on the market. Price point pretty much is usually the reason being because it's not moving, and they re-sign with me every single time. And it's because they understand where we are, where I want to go with it. They understand the support that they have. We don't just stop communicating with them, and they know that we've put in tireless effort to get their home sold, and going with somebody else, they may not even get that service. And we get that all the time. We've never had service like this before.
So huge. Again, there comes back to experience.
It does. And it comes back to just facing problems head on. It was easy in 2020, 2021, and parts of 2022. Anyone could have sold a house. But if you didn't have a business model and open communication, you're nosediving in this market.
Oh, we're seeing that a lot from a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the big real estate boards talking about the fact that membership is dropping, and everybody thinks like, maybe it's a negative. I'm going, this is amazing. This is fantastic. We're getting rid of a lot of riffraff that shouldn't be in the industry. There are a lot of really amazing people in this industry. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad people in this industry that A, don't run it like a business, B, give us a bad name. Yeah. And so again, when you can create an experience and you can handhold and really show people that you care, you're there to help them, you're going to win.
Yeah, you are.
In saying all of that, we know that obviously the market being as it is, it's very different than what it was a couple of years ago. We're seeing differences. If you've got your systems in place, you will still flourish. I am very confident of that. And I'm watching that with many people, at least that we get to work with very, very closely, very intimately. Yeah. We're watching the growth, which is amazing. I know for some, they're doing so well and they could even be doing better, right? Because there's just other things they know that they're not doing. But when we look at tougher markets, we look at when something may bring us down. From a mindset perspective, do you have any little tricks you could share with anybody? How do you, Kate, stay motivated, especially when things may not be going the way you want, whether it's a slower market, whether a deal just kind of went sideways, like something? It's that mindset. How do we keep the positivity and the motivation? Like, hey, like this is good. And then you've got a team too. You got to show, you got to lead.
It's I mean, we're all human.
Oh my God, yeah,
It's
for
been
sure.
challenging for sure, but I just believe it comes from those of us who are disciplined to look at the history and understand that whenever there's a downswing, there's always an upswing. The
Yeah.
opportunity is actually found in these times because the work that we're doing right now may not have immediate benefits, but we know that when the market starts to pick up, and I'm not going to say that the market's going to go back up like crazy, but when people start having that confidence again, they're going to call the person who was there to check in on them, who was there to give them updates on their home appreciation. They were there to give them updates on the economic, basically landscape in real estate. They were there to call the person who did the door drops, did the gift card saying, thanks for being a loyal client, hosting the community events. There's no immediate benefit to any of that right now, but we know that whenever there's a downswing, there's an upswing. And if you look at a 10-year trajectory over real estate in time, anytime there has been, it's usually followed by a nice flow upwards, right? And you just have to focus on that. You have to focus on what's real and the data. And that's the thing that keeps me. And you know what? Also, there's no failure. Failure is an option.
Learn.
Yeah.
It's so true. Look, I think there's a ton. I'm very optimistic about what's coming.
Me too.
I mean, we saw that huge rise kind of 2018, and then just the peak of it all 2020, 21, and then kind of that steady decline 22, and then kind of more rapid in 23 and even 24. Just like you said, what goes up must come down, and what goes down must go up. Like there's a lot of amazing things coming. And I think as we got the proper systems in place and we do have our head on the right way where we understand what we need to be doing to grow the business, and we plant those seeds today, like you said, you met those people at the open house 3 years later.
3 years.
Right? It comes back. Like that's the game we're playing in this business. That is the game right there. Now, from a mindset perspective, and I'm very big on mindset. And I tout it in a big way because I personally made that shift a number of years ago, and I can remember the me before that.
Yeah.
And I know the me currently. I also will say it is a daily work in progress.
It absolutely is.
Do you have a morning routine? Do you have any daily practices? Anything that just kind of keeps you like, this is what I got to do to make sure the motor's always going?
And for a couple of years, I actually had a mindset coach.
Okay.
I'm very much into holistic healing. So Reiki and any kind of affirmation or meditation. That's my love language. I don't consume garbage and negativity. It's toxic for yourself. And even the conversations that you have with the people around you, they need to be uplifting and inspiring. You need to learn and grow. But my morning routine is I would say it's like my sacred time, which is why I get up so early in the morning. And why I go to bed, probably with my kids.
I can't do it.
I used to be during the peak times, I was getting up at like 3:34, 4 days a week. 5 a.m. for me is
3:30 or 4 in the afternoon. That's very late, Kate.
Yeah. And it's like,
God, what time are you going to bed?
Yeah. But you know what, to me, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should be doing is setting the tone of your day through mindset, focusing on 10 positive things, regulating your emotions through deep breathing. People think this is crazy, but it really does. The moment you open your eyes, the thoughts and feelings that you have, if you don't course correct them, if they're not positive, they will linger with you for the rest of the day. And so some people like to journal, some people like to do some kind of meditation, listening to some kind of like vibrational music. There's certain apps that you can have for that where there's no words. It's just basically like a vibration and a high vibration that you can listen to and give yourself those 10 positive thoughts and set the tone for your day and do those affirmations. That some people love to do that too. And also for me, it's an exercise routine. For me, 5 days a week in the gym. I have a home gym here at 45 minutes. It's not like I work out, for hours on end. There's something about being able to put your body under stress that allows the emotional stress to not feel as hard. And I've really been consistent, and it is something that I owe myself, that 45 minutes a day before I jump into the kids, lunches, breakfast, calls, clients, meetings, team, all the things that you have to pour into. I feel if you start with a full cup, the day feels a lot better.
So would you agree? What would you say about, like, when I first open my eyes, I'm going to grab my social media and start looking at everybody else's bullshit, and I'm going to read all the emails?
No.
No, I know.
No, it's taking that, even if it's 10 minutes, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Like I said, if you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a great mood, that's great. Focus on 10 things that you want to achieve that day. Focus on how do you feel right now? Like I said, that deep breathing or just soft music, I love that first thing in the morning. It's like the most beautiful way to wake up, especially if it's really early. But I think grabbing your phone and going to social media is probably your first mistake. Especially, or answering emails at 7 o'clock in the morning, or answering texts first thing in the morning. Give yourself a moment, like even if it's an hour, mine's 2 from 5 to 7. Then I work out for 45 minutes. And then it's like, you know what? I feel full. I feel prepared. I'm ready to go.
That's, I double down on that in a big way. Like, mine is like, I wake up, I, check my goals. I just want to remind myself, I say, I got the vision board right there, but then I look at the goals, and even though they're tattooed in my brain, I want to look at them again, watch the growth we've been having, maybe look at some of the places like I need improvement on. I do my gratitude journaling. And then once I'm done with that, I actually go spend time with my children before they go to school.
I love that.
And from there, now you're kind of in for, me, that's about an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45. And now I'm ready, and I don't do my workout in the morning. Like today, I'll actually be going after the show. Right. But I make sure it's in there 5 to 6 days a week. I want to be doing that. Funny. I was just, I'd gone up north over the weekend, and on my drive up and drive back, I was listening to this podcast, which is about 2.5 hours long. It's all about cryotherapy, like cold exposure and things like that. And one thing it talked about, and I couldn't get into it all right now, but the stresses, right? Like putting your body under stress in a certain way actually starts to strengthen what's going on with the mind. And it's not about stress about other people's stresses. It's about, again, like this was exposure to cold and the cold therapy. So it was just interesting the way you said about stress and like the routines. I couldn't agree more. And I do think that one of the biggest blocks that anybody has, and with this in the real estate industry, outside the real estate industry, whatever, really does come back to, how are you starting your day? How are you ending your day?
How
and are you doing it for you, or are you trying to do it to the bigger, wider world without much concern about you?
One of the biggest things I ever implemented with my children, and I honestly love it, and I encourage any parents to do it. Every night we read our prayers and we do our gratitude moments. And all 3 of my boys sit on my oldest son's bed and they express what they're grateful for that day.
So good.
And in the morning on the way to school, we call it our focus moment. And it's always in the car. And I don't even get it out of my mouth. I'm like, what are we going to focus on? And they each tell me what they're going to focus on: having listening ears, helping others, feeling joyful. And it is such a change in perspective to watch little people gain this sense of appreciation for acknowledging the things that they're grateful in their life, or the positive things that they want to focus on. And it's true to ourselves. And if we do that as well, it's contagious.
It's so true. It's so true. I love that you do that. It puts a smile on my face. We do a lot of that with our kids as well, about gratitude and respect and putting out joy, right? Like, this world is so full of chaos and so full of negativity and so full of anger lately. It's up to us to first do it for us. Do it for yourself, and you will spread it across to others, and very importantly, obviously, our little loved ones. That
Yes.
is very cool. Um, One thing we didn't dive into, and I just thought very quickly, because I know it's the Kate Broddick team.
Yeah.
How many people on your team right now?
We have 21.
Oh my
We
gosh, look at
have
you.
18 licensed agents because my licensed assistant staff, she's also an agent. And then we have
Yep.
3 staff outside of that that are not licensed. We have her back event staff is like rock stars. Like they really do support our businesses in areas that, perhaps are the things that get left behind, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're out, in appointments and stuff, like the follow up and making sure our touch points with clients and making sure our inside sales are there and no lead ever gets left unturned. Just like my open house 3 years later, never got left unturned, turned into a transaction, great relationship, repeat referral. And so we have really, really great systems in the back of end staff. And then our agents are, we're very similar in age. We range from like, I would say, mid to late 20s, more on the later end of 20s to mid to late 40s. And so even though it feels like a 20-year age gap, everyone has like very compassionate, empathetic, hardworking, very family-oriented personalities. And they showcase them on their socials, in their meetings. We still have the same systems, but I mean, I always believe that people connect in a relationship based on the person, not just the system.
totally.
And our team is amazing. I've had a lot of people with me for a long time. My longest existing staff member will be 10 years this year. And then I took her sister. Now she's my inside sales agent. So a lot of loyalty on the team, which, to me trumps the number of agents versus the longevity. And I'm not looking to grow. I thought at one point I was a really, really large team. And now I just want the quality.
So good. And what advice would you give to any agent who's like, I'm going to start my own team? When I want to build a successful real estate team. What,
Be
what, what
careful
would you
what you
tell?
ask for.
Was that?
Be careful what you ask.
Yeah.
You have to be accountable. That's it. I mean, when you're a real estate agent, you're a solo salesperson. Everyone thinks the team is some big, like it's like some big thing that's almost like it's got like some award to it or some like extra glitter. You have to be accountable to people. You have to be accountable to people. You have to show up. You have to walk the walk, talk the talk. You need to have really strong systems and structures. You need to be in it for the right reasons, and it's something I wouldn't jump into just because you think it'd be cool.
Oh,
I
you mean
think,
people do that?
yeah. Oh yeah. You have to do it because you genuinely want a future in real estate, but maybe not necessarily just in sales. You also want to coach and mentor because that's what you're essentially signing up for. I think a good team leader.
Okay. No, I like that. It's good advice. I think there's a lot of people that try to get out there and they try to do it based on the stardom of it.
Yeah, there's no stardom with it, by the way.
Yeah, like, hey, look at me, look at what I've built, and they walk around the conferences and like look at my team. And I
Yeah.
think that there's so many people that are not maybe fantastic salespeople, maybe great with one-on-one, with relation, may not be team leaders.
Well,
And
that's the thing, right?
that's okay, right?
That is okay. That's totally okay.
Um, Quickly tell us more about your podcast. You got the podcast. When did
Oh
you
yeah.
start that? And just iTunes, Spotify.
It's on, oh my goodness, I should know more about this, but that's Carolyn's department. We're on
Okay, cool.
YouTube, Spotify, whatever the platforms are, we have them out
Okay,
there. I'm
cool.
going to be really honest. This is a passion project. I'm not doing this for anything other than I love sitting down with industry leaders and speaking to them. I love all walks of life, personalities, people who are super different in different avenues of their business. I love the contrast because I learn from it. And for me, it's been so much, it's brought me so much joy. It brings me nothing in terms of just conversation. And I do it for that.
So
I
good.
love it.
And just started it or what?
This will be our second full season finished as of December. So we'll be in, 2 full years. And I'm going to keep going with it. And people ask, are you going to do anything else with it? I don't know. Maybe this is like my, like I said, my passion project. I get to sit down with amazing people who've done really well in their careers, who, even if it's, they're new or they're more experienced, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's well, I can say that right back at you. It is a pleasure to be able to sit down with
Yeah.
amazing people in the industry. We have been fortunate. I mean, today's episode 310.
And that's
Like we got you on the show. We've had so many of the leaders in this industry, both north and south of the border, on this show. We're super grateful for it. And really it's just a lot of fun to have these conversations. And it's also a lot of fun. I get to learn a lot myself.
yeah.
Our audience obviously gets to learn a lot. And above and beyond, it's like when you start to see the consistency of the messages that come through from like
Yeah.
your best of the best in this industry. If you are listening intently to this show and you are, almost a regular listener, or you've listened to just a bunch of it, you're going to hear a lot of very similar themes.
Yeah.
And that learning, when you can take that back and you start to build that into your own business and go, okay, well, she said it and he said it and they said it and this and that and that. Great. I got that recipe now. I'm going to go bake my own cake.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
And similarly, like we talked about at the beginning, this is a relationship business. People think that the relationship is with the client. There is how many relationships I built with colleagues and the referrals that have come from that and the long lasting relationship outside of just clients that have been so inspiring and so fulfilling. Like look outside the picture, like make relationships with the people in your profession. They're a wealth of knowledge.
You never know who you're going to bump into again next.
You never know. That's right.
So the day is over. You finished your day. Like 6 p.m. You're probably going to sleep, I think, what I heard here. Yeah. But seriously, your day is done. You've done everything you had to do in your day. It's now come to the end of your day. How do you know that it's been a successful day for you?
You just feel it. You feel fulfilled. You know, the boxes are checked. You gave it your all. You had great conversations. You overcame hurdles. And if you have family or children at home and you get to go home and you get to play with them and hug them and sit on the couch in matching red pajamas and watch Christmas movies, you've had a good day.
Yeah, I love it. Once again, she did not use the word money. Nobody ever uses the word money. I just want to make sure we're hitting home with that point, but that was a fantastic answer. I just threw your Instagram handle here. I've got it right? Agent.Kate.
You got it.
Okay, cool. So if you're not following her on Instagram, if you're listening to this on audio right now, it's agent.Kate on Instagram. Of course, if you're watching live, you can see it right here on the screen. As we wrap up right here, Kate, any final words of wisdom you can share with our audience to help them build more mind share, to get more market share? If there was one takeaway our listeners should get from this conversation, like final words.
Honestly, it's you just have to have the heart. You have to have the heart in the business. You have to have the right intentions. You have to treat people the way you want to be treated. And you have to treat every relationship as if they're the most important one and really mean that. And honestly, I think everyone would do really well.
Great words. Kate Broddick, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show to talk today about how you became Brantford's #1 realtor. I love the mindset. I love everything you're sharing. I love the systems. I love the work ethic. I think that all of it, there's been no bright, shiny objects or secret magic potions. This has been the, roll up the sleeves, get the hands dirty, go out there, meet people, do it for the right reasons, have your systems in place.
Yeah.
Success will come. This has been fantastic.
You just nailed it.
This has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for making the time today to join us on the MindShare podcast. Thank you, Kate.
It's been a joy. Thanks again.
Thank you. You're either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. While you're there, of course, be sure to learn about our one-to-one coaching, group training, and keynote speaking. Of course, download our free copy or your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. For all inquiries, just get in touch with us today. Don't forget, please, to leave a review of this podcast at ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Again, it'll give you a real simple way to get to iTunes or Spotify, depending on if you're an Android or an iPhone user. If you're on iPhone, I don't know why you use an iPhone, but if you do use iPhone, you can go straight to iTunes. Big 5 stars. Leave us a review. I'd be super grateful, as always. And of course, if we haven't yet, let's connect on Facebook and even TikTok at MindShare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to take a very quick moment to say thank you to Kids Keep in Touch Systems and REM Magazine for sponsoring this episode. This has been another episode of the MindShare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.